So now, yeah, people who wanted to watch the previous video don't have to get to the good stuff. They don't have to watch, 5 minutes of 5-mile-an-hour operation. See, this is pretty stupid.
Making take a little
making a canyon
time lapse. Halfway from Lynchburg to Roanoke is Bedford, which has been lobbying to add a stop.
Oh, good for, I mean, no, I'm sure they'll get it. Unless the town's like really, really small. Then at that point, the only person who goes are those transit people who go to the least used stations. Yeah. I think that there was a least used station in places that have so many people go to them because they're least used, they stop being least used stations. That happened a couple times in the UK.
I wonder if or when that'll happen at Jessup?
I have no idea if they publicize them enough. But I don't know why those are stations with such bad service. Like, why even have the station at that point?
So you know what the least used stations are on? You know what the least used stations are on MBTA commuter rail?
I'm
on
not
LIRR at Metro North, NJT, Metro.
I'm not off the top of my head. If you do, that's great.
I don't.
I don't know. That's just becoming a growing thing of people going to those. I know for the longest time on the NYCTA it was Beach 105th Street. That's where they have the pigeons that know how to use the subways.
Yeah.
There's two kinds. There's the ones who, the Rockaway pigeons, they culturally learn how to use the subway on the Rockaways, and the conductors would hold it for the pigeons, and they'd just like go into a car and then get off again. Other pigeons learn how to use the subway to get to the deep stations where all the food had been discarded. So but that was more individual. The Rockaway one had been going on for decades. I don't know what they're doing with it now. The Jessup and Laurel racetrack are so bizarre because Laurel racetrack has like 3 trains a day, but only eastbound. So there's people that have to catch the train like to go into the city at Laurel. Now they are very close to each other. I think Laurel racetrack is there mainly to serve race days, but I don't know how. I don't know if Mark ever does specials. I've never asked him to advertise. Oh. I know what it is. I bet that they have during the racing season. I bet that there's. I bet they would have like after work racing. So there's a reason like you catch a train to go to the track, and then you're so close to you're so close that you walk home or your wife would pick you up or whatever. I don't know how that works, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's why. But it's still very strange.
What's the story with Jessup?
I don't know. It's one train in each direction, so it's got that going for it. It's close to Dorsey and Savage, which have both seen substantial development. So it's sort of midway between the two. It doesn't have a lot in its catchment area, but it is close to the prison, but you can't walk to it's very tough to walk to the prison. So I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's there because people get let out of prison and then they go catch the one train to Baltimore. Got me. I do not know. I've gone down there. It's no worse than St.
Dennis.
St. Dennis has issues, but like more people tend to use St. Dennis. I've gone there, and it's definitely a close knit bunch. And it's in a walkable community.
Yeah. I once took my e-bike on Mark to Halethorpe and then bike to St. Dennis.
And you've got in theory you could even use it to get to the park, but it's only weekdays. No, I stopped at St. Dennis because it's right.
And then I biked through the park, and then I biked down to BWI and got Mark back from there.
Oh, I don't even know what radio frequency I'm on, so I could find it, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just do that on the way out. Oh wait, I got it. I'm on it. I've got to be on it. Next time we go over to the detector. Well, unless I was catching a southern detector. just going to know what is on this after the general. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of coal, but it's mainly for export these days.
Yeah.
I know that with Europe facing its energy crunch, that there might be some more export stuff moving. But all the coal hauling lines are facing some problems.
Forest.
Cool. That's not named after who I think it is.
There's one R.
Oh.
Yeah, the Confederate general was 2 R's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. So, I don't know when I'm going to cut this. It automatically cuts files at 4 gigs, but it doesn't stop the recording. It'll just leave you another file. I loved it when YouTube would let you just had a basic editor, but they got rid of the feature, so now I have to cut it using a basic video editing tool, but I upgraded that so it doesn't result in a loss of quality anymore. But I always prefer to upload the original if I can. There's an AEI reader.
A few pieces of concrete ties.
Oh, it's probably something for the AEI reader. I don't know. Like why would you need concrete ties for an AEI reader? Sometimes I'll see that if they're putting in a wheel impact detector or a sliding wheel detector because they need like a slightly more stable base for the strain sensors. How are we moving here? Let's see. It feels like 50, 58. Ooh, it's 60. Not bad.
Milepost N216 is from Norfolk.
Yes.
There's many time lapse.
Oh, sweet. Whee. Put like 8x speed.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a cool feature.
Yeah.
It sometimes bugs me a bunch when I see that as a default. I'm like, I can't see the thing at this exact place I want to see it. But at the same point, it does cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Cool. So how do you like the iPhone?
I like it. My mom and I have been an Apple household since like the days of the Mac Classic.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're kind of locked at this point.
You know what's weird? When I did in my early computing thing, I still had a lot of the Apple IIe's in school, which dates me.
Oh yeah. I remember the Apple II GS in school.
Yep, I got that too. Actually, it was I had 2 GS's in my elementary school, and then I had 2 E's in my middle school. We got downgraded. But it was strange because all the things that people do, like if you watch the classic computer stuff, like Commodore 64 people, like they never taught that to kids, like any sort of the weird. We never really did any of the basic. When I say basic, I mean basic language programming. We never learned any. Your elementary school, but it was always like, here, put this in. You learn how to run a program. You learn how to type some stuff, and that's it.
Yeah, I remember Mavis Beacon teaches typing.
Oh my God! Everybody thinks that the person on the box was some character called Mavis Beacon. People no. I'm actually not kidding. On the box, the lady on it, was a stock image. It was not supposed to be a mascot or a character. But everybody had thought that was like actually
who's Mavis Beacon?
It was just the name of the company or the product. But people have actually tried to track the person down. Be like, you know that you're like this people that everybody think that you're Mavis Beacon. No, there was a video. That was one of those like nostalgia videos about that. In my elementary school, I actually went through a phase of learning to type on a typewriter. That was one of the last. That's why I always hate the what do you call it? I'm always pissed off with the current millennial whatever.
My dad can type ridiculously fast just using one finger.
Oh yeah, no, I never was good at the stuff, and I have a very weird hybrid typing strategy. Although it's pretty reasonable. But it's simply the fact that, like, for me and even a bunch of people beyond me, all like I think that the definition of millennial needs to be advanced by about 5 or 6 years, because Gen X got totally shortcut, and everyone who got a job before that recession, A, is in a different economic position, and B, they grew up with like landlines and typing on a typewriter, and you can't be like. It was a bunch of demographers wanted to make an arbitrary line at year 2000, and they will do whatever it was to make it, even though that didn't matter. Yep, I love the NS. Apparently up through the 1960s, the PRR had effective control of the N&W, so that's why it has such good infrastructure. They wanted to, if they would have merged with them, but the ICC was being persnickety, so the PRR effectively sold it, and then that made their balance sheet much worse because they were being cross-subsidized by N&W's coal traffic. Oh, interesting how they are doing the PSR.
What would they have called that merged railroad?
Might have just been PRR. They might have just PRR'd it. It always had been blocked due to pre-deregulation policies of railroads, and they're evil and monopolies and stuff. They went as soon as they sold. So it was one of those things. They had this ownership, but they couldn't do much. So the shareholders were like, "Oh, you should sell that," and then they did, and they didn't have any good way to invest it, and then their balance sheet went to hell because now they weren't being cross-subsidized by N&W, and that's what forced the PC merger. Of course, New York Central was even worse shape, and as soon as they got that, the place just went into a tailspin. But if things had been a little bit better, the more natural pairing would have been the PRR and the N&W merge, and then you would have seen Reading and Chessie merge. What happens to New York Central? I don't know. In that world. I keep forgetting these. Apparently there's still a lot of districts down here. The Alta Vista district has a position lane still on it. Not necessarily intermediates. The N&W was very good at removing the intermediates and replacing those with color lights, but they actually re-signaled a lot of their interlockings with position up through.
I rode excursions in 2011 with Amfleet equipment from Roanoke up to Luray and back, and down to Bristol and back.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's very interesting of the whole drive. Listen, I know that signals, they get old, but the whole drive is around 2000. It went from being cheaper to splice things in to being able to test in parallel. So you could have brand new equipment, but if you need to alter the interlocking, you're just going to put up new things, test in parallel, then you do a one-day cutover. It's hard to argue with that because I'm sure that and you can also contract that out. It's easier to have contractors do all the work because they don't actually have to really get in the way of stuff. Here's a fun anecdote of the type that usually appears on my live streams. If you're ever talking with people in let's say in any sort of management or planning capacity, it's always good to know what the number one pick is on the division or whatever. Usually, especially for public agencies, because the top pick, it might say something about the railroad, like if people want, if it's like a weird yard job or a maintenance job with a rep crane or something. Often, if the regular trains are all over the place, a lot of people might be wanting stability. On Metro North, the top pick for conductors is the guy who protects contractors, the guy who sits in and requests foul time. And I was wondering why that was. My friend is, because they don't have they don't have a sign-in point. Their sign-in point is a book with them, and they don't have any biometric sign-ins, so they pretty much make up their own time. So. This is really interesting. This line is way different than this. It's definitely got a different vibe than the Southern. Tempted to do is let this run until I know when it'll beep when it hits the end of the thing, and then I'll just put in another battery, and that'll give me the whole width of it. So I can't wait to meet your friend.
Yeah. I like him. He's a blue husky.
Uh-huh.
He used to make fursuits. Doesn't anymore.
Look at all the lack of the kudzu.
Yeah.
Oh, detector. Now we'll get to see if I should turn this on real quick. See if it's on any of my scanner channels. I don't think so. I don't really feel like programming in another one right now. Nope.
He's also a pretty good cook. He's worked in restaurant kitchens.
Oh, nice. Let's see how fast we're going. 60. Alright, we're just going 60. Sometimes it feels, 60 feels fast, sometimes it does not.
Yeah, if you're on a narrow right of way and curvy, you can.
It doesn't feel fast on the Manassas line, but it definitely feels a little bit faster here.
I think there's a station in Bedford. I had no service closer to Lynchburg on the stretch, and now I have no service here, but the Wi-Fi's working.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Lowry, that last town. Yeah, we're coming on Bedford.
It's interesting how the for the longest time the off-corridor Wi-Fi was way better than on-corridor, and the train had this would be full, but as soon as you got off-corridor, it's almost like they're on a different provider.
Huh.
The 79's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I also thought that had to do with crowds, the number of people using the network.
Like 79 would be very crowded, off like south of DC, and I would always have really good internet. But anything on the NEC would grind to a halt immediately, and I just never knew why the service was so bad when the train was still packed. So I didn't know if they had on-corridor provider or AT&T just was terrible in the Northeast because of Verizon or something like that. I thought they were AT&T was providing their service.
I thought they used multiple providers, so they just bounced between.
At some point I thought it was advertised as AT&T, but I could have been wrong.
So the fastest Wi-Fi experience in a moving vehicle is on Via Rail. They use satellite rather than cell.
Well, the other thing is that it took them, it was available on 79, but not on 20.
Yeah.
Is it
early on. Now it is.
Okay.
Everything single level has Wi-Fi now.
That was the other reason that I
They just haven't gotten to the superliners yet.
That was also the other reason I started doing, I kept doing 79, because you'd have Wi-Fi in Greensboro, or wherever I would choose to transfer, which was Greensboro. There we go. It was like my spidey senses signal coming. It's also interesting of how ballast is very consistent. Like up in the former Conrail area, it's this very gray basalt ballast, but in the southern, both N&W and Southern has this very often it's this white ballast.
Yeah.
Same with the nickel plate, which again was also part of the Norfolk and Western whatever. I don't know where they get it, what quarry they use, but it's pretty consistent. Although I think the southern one has been turning a little bit more gray. But on the H line up around like Hagerstown to Roanoke, it's this exact color. So I don't think that there's anything beyond Lynchburg. Like at that point, you're into the mountain. Like, that's just it. There's nothing. You can't keep extending it anymore.
From
this, like it's not going any
beyond Roanoke.
Sorry, Roanoke.
Oh no, they're planning to extend it to towards Bristol, at least to Blacksburg, for Virginia Tech to start out with.
Okay, that is back there. Okay.
Yeah, but then eventually they wanted to go to Bristol.
Is that Bristol Motor Speedway, Bristol? Or is that a different Bristol?
I think it's the one that's right on the state line between Virginia and Tennessee. Literally half the town is in Virginia and half is in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
There's you stand on State Line Road and a lot of country music history in there.
So this looks like a location.
Oh yeah, this is Bedford.
Okay. This is the town that wants the station.
Wants to stop, yeah.
So the question is, where would it be?
I think there's an old station that we'll pass.
Oh, here we go. Okay, like there. I'd have to look at the map.
I think the old station might actually be a visitor center. Oh, what?
That's pretty.
There's the downtown up there. So maybe I was wrong about the station, but maybe that was it. That might have been the station.
That's it right there. Yeah, they could easily put a platform down the middle of the tracks. That's exactly what they hope. That's what they do.
They have to do the whole ADA thing with.
Well, the question is, how do you get someone into that center area? That's the only problem.
Yeah, with ADA and.
There's a bridge. They could, in theory, like ramp it up for them to get like the Wawa station. It's a very nice sort of wide thing here.
Some old institution of some sort up there.
Huh.
School or like a mental institution. Older and newer W signs. CP Bedford.
Oh, thanks.
There were older and newer W signs.
Oh, nice. Oh, I need to hold on. After the next signal, I'll go get the clip notes. You can probably get them now. I'll wait for the next signal, then I'll get the clip notes. Ooh, that's a fun road. Yeah, Virginia has a lot of neat non-limited access highways, and you can always tell that it was a 2-lane road, and then they just like put a second one.
Yeah.
So one part of the road is going up and down like a freaking metronome.
Oh yes.
And the other one just flat.
Virginia has a lot of those. A lot of parts of 29 are like that.
It's always that's why I know it's always nice. Like it's like, is it better to be on the flat one or the one you can like catch the air on the bumps?
Pennsylvania has some of those too, but Virginia's.
Yeah, it's definitely much more obvious of how they put that second one. 13 on the Eastern Shore does that in a bunch of places, and 29, of course. Going out to the whatever that road is that goes out to the Shenandoah does it 340 or something.
And whatever the U.S. highways from either Danville or Lynchburg to Petersburg just does that.
It's a long blocks.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the heads up, but when we get to the thing, I'll get a different frequency added into my thing for this. I just sort of forgot. I haven't been on new track. Well, I was technically on it in 2019, but this sort of trip wasn't tripping my. I got to do all the prep work. I literally was running out. I was like, I got to bring my scanner.
There's just a news item in the Washington maintenance way equipment.
What?
There was a news item in the Washington Post that a man who was announced he wanted to crash his small plane into a Mississippi Walmart has landed after circling for hours.
Bedford. Okay. Oh, Montview. That's gonna have a cool pocket track thing. Villamont, Webster. Oh, we're on double track at that point. Neat. And this isn't going to have any passenger speeds, unfortunately. That's just must be roadway. I guess we're going intermodal speeds. I think that means roadway or something. Thank you for printing this. I mean, I could have used my phone, but Randolph Street, I think, is where we sort of crap out. So that's it's only 2 miles from the start of the district. So yeah, 10 miles. We have a detector at 37. Oh man.
They got her.
Close enough.
There's a big beaver in Pennsylvania. There's a little west of Pittsburgh. There's like Beaver Falls, Big Beaver.
It's because of the river there.
Yeah.
Ooh, Crown.
Yeah.
See, look, one road is going up and down like a freaking sine wave. On the A line, you can actually, it's interesting how much Virginia there is below Richmond. It goes on for a while. There's one point where you actually, from the train, you can see on the parallel dual carriageway, non-limited access highway, where they have the Welcome to Virginia sign. So the railroad is directly adjacent.
Petersburg to Rocky Mount is like an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, that's a stretch. Yeah. There's nothing in there either. It's not like. I guess you could have a stop like
there's Emporia, and what's the Weldon, North Carolina?
Yes, Weldon's the one. where they probably could have a
Yeah,
stop.
there used to be a stop back in the day at ACL.
It'll be interesting. I saw the plans for that S-line reactivation. They're going to do a lot of curve elimination.
I don't know if you noticed the old station in Weldon, and there's like a little bridge right there.
Yeah.
That's where the platform used to be.
Oh, I'll check that out on my photos. Well, I just put up some new ones.
Yeah.
Since I had been able to take photos of the back of a train, they actually had removed that diamond. That was an NS line, I think, that would go up to Norfolk from the south. It's somewhat embargoed now, between there and another point. I was like, oh, that's a shame. Yeah, I'm not sure if the freight people are just off for the holiday, because there's typically, okay, we're 157. There's typically a delay, like the railroad, except for like, I'm trying to think of how this works, like
you follow this train's OTP, and
it's sort of like there's always like a weird delay. It's sort of it's sort of like the week. It's Saturdays are still busy, but Sundays and Mondays aren't, because they lag industry. So if truck drivers don't get to the yard on Saturday or Sunday, then on Sunday no trains go out, and Monday no trains go out.
about a half hour to go.
I also have no idea of what the patterns are in a freight. Like, are they, because of all the labor issues, are they trying to be cool and get people some more off time for the Labor Day? I don't know. With that proposed strike movement.
Yeah, is that still being talked about?
It's going to be a thing that lasts 15 minutes, and then they get ordered back to work as part of the presidential thing. But they are going to they are on the mandatory arbitration. I'm just not sure what could be done. An interesting thing that this probably harkens back to is the fact that I bet a lot of it is stemming from for good or for ill, is stemming from the hours of service law caps in 20. So the PTC law came with hours of service changes. It used to, it's still the same 12 hours, etc. But they put in monthly limits. And
do those now also apply to airline crews?
I don't know about airlines, but it was specifically for rail. So it used to be, I had a guy that we knew who was retired, and he wanted to go work his dream railroad job. He's like 60 or 55. He's retired from a job, and he wants to go live his best life doing railroad. And he signs on with
Montview.
Yeah. Well, this is where the pocket track is. Or there should be a weird pocket track. So he signs on with CSX. And he quits after working 29 consecutive 12-hour days. It's like, so he gets a job with a short line, works 14 hours a week. That's way better for his work-life balance. And that was always a thing, that new people would come into the railroad and they would just work 12-hour day, 12-hour day, 12-hour day, conductor, whatever. You'd make bank. But I think a lot of some of the issues are with the staffing. Now they have to have this like attendance thing, especially for higher up people, because they need you can't front load the new guys to work a jillion 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
That's going to work its way up, and then at a certain point, like I bet the rail, that gives ample whatever for the bean counters to be like, well, now we're employing too many people. We have to cut down on the off days and stuff for the more senior workers, and now they're getting labor problems. But I think there was definitely a culture of the new extra board guys get a little hazed that they can't quite do like they used to.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, hey, you make bank. Like it's not like they weren't being paid for those 12-hour days. So yeah, this is the pocket track that was removed. I'm not sure what it would have been for, but it was here.
Was it for helper locomotives to get over the?
Could totally, yeah. Actually, that makes sense. That it would have been a helper pocket. But this isn't near anything.
Well, there's a little bit of a ridge between Bedford and Roanoke.
Or as in normally you'd put like something like it's where a base is, but
like
it could also just be
it's not as high, but there's the Blue Ridge, because Roanoke and the Shenandoah Valley are the extension of it between the Blue Ridge and the.
I think you're exactly right, though, that it's probably a thing where a helper would come down and then it would reverse, wait for another train, but the base isn't here. The base is remote.
Yeah.
But a lot of those little like weird pockets and things used to have it. It's like it was something that was there in the '60s that they haven't used since then. Yeah, that's where the pocket would collapse back in. So it's funny. So my obsessive photo taking. I told you that once Amtrak actually contacted me. I feel bad because this is going to get, it's a recorded, so people who obsess, the three people who obsessively listen to my content will hear the same story in different places. Amtrak actually contacted me for a high-res version of a photo of the Cumberland Station platform because someone had done a slip and fall there, and I had happened to take a picture of it like a week before the stuff so they could have a record of its actual condition. A couple times I've had companies want to use some of my photos in some planning documents, and I never have an issue with that. I'm sure there's a crowd of people that's like, oh, don't give away your work. I don't care. I literally, but the one time I did get paid, one of my Donner Pass photos was used on a highway rest area information board, and I got they sent me, they PayPal'd me $30. I was like, hey, there you go. Somewhere on the Donner Pass, one of my photos from the railroad is up there.
There's an S-curve.
One of them was actually the company, so in Kansas City they have those flyover bypasses they built. Mm-hmm. One of the companies that did a track rejuvenation project wanted to use my photos as an example of the work they did on the project.
Hey, I'll be in Kansas City for the rail passengers fall meeting.
Oh, nice.
In late October.
The one thing I will say is I always ask them, can you please send me a copy of whatever public, if it's something that's not proprietary, I ask if they could send me a copy. I never gotten one, unfortunately. Here's other things. I had a guy who had a book on railroad signaling, and he wanted to use one of my photos of Hancock Tower to show a traditional tower with pipelines, and I got a copy of the book. But he used another copy of my photos from Wikipedia that was Creative Commons sharing. So I have two photos in the book, but one of them is just credited to Wikipedia. And the neat part is that he was actually, the guy wasn't located local to me, but he was publishing through Hopkins University Press, and I used to live 5 houses down from the University Press building. So he was like, oh, should I send it to you? He was like, oh, can I just pick it up at the University Press? And I was going, he's like, hey, you have a book for me? I will say that all the organizations who do, I'm not sure if you've ever done photos for groups, but all the railfan local publications that are the older generations where it's all printed material, the one that the Chessie one, who's ever in Central Maryland or Virginia, they wanted to do a thing on the double stack. All the tunnels got cat's ears. Have you seen that?
No.
The tunnels in the Magnolia they notched them, and they all have cat's ears now.
Yeah.
They wanted just a picture.
And they said that they did that because of Chessie?
It just happened to work out. It's hilarious because I'm like, wait, all the tunnels have Chessie cat ears now. But anytime I do that, I only have to ask. They will send me a guy. I had one book I had one photo in a book about modeling, and they sent me a whole copy of the modeling book, and it's like an $80 book. And that's always just, apparently that's just a very good thing that all rails, I think that's it's a nice thing how the community works, that regardless of the book, if you get a picture in a book, your general compensation is a copy of that publication. I get newsletters, I'll get a printed copy of the Blue Ridge Dispatcher's thing, and I'll get a copy of this modeling book. I still have it somewhere in my house, I gotta dig it out somewhere. But it's very nice, it's nice that you have communities that can run on informal systems as opposed to let me get you a contract.
Back in 2010, when I first started working for NARP, I was invited down to do a NARP table at a train show in Bluefield, West Virginia, and a couple of NARP people who were local came and picked me up at Prince, so we had to get off there and check out the beautiful Chessie floor tile work, and it was still staffed at that point.
What is it? Oh, does they have a volunteer group in there right now to get it open? Because I'd love to see it there. Prince is the new. So when the Boy Scouts, when they had to move off the Army base. And by the way, I went to a Boy Scout jamboree at Fort AP Hill. That was not a great location. But at the same point, I feel something's a little sus when the Bechtel family donates an abandoned coal mine for Boy Scout use. What sort of arsenic am I going to be getting out of that one? But Prince is the new station for the what they've it's a high adventure camp. It's literally like a crater where a coal mine was dug out of the ground and with some trees growing on it. But hey, whatever gets in their tax write-off. But yeah, I'm just saying, Princess now. So when jamborees happen every 4 years, a lot of Boy Scouts are going to go in through the Prince.
And then when I returned from that trip, I ordered in Hinton, and I was sent back there. I did the new river train in 2014.
Oh, nice! I've always wanted to do that.
I did the whole weekend. Took the Cardinal to Huntington Friday. Spent 2 nights. Did the river train to Hinton and back Saturday, and then the Cardinal back on Sunday.
Hinton always has a lot of travel out of it. Normally, whenever I'm on the Cardinal, there's always a crowd of people in Hinton.
Yeah.
That's the one where it's sort of on a curve and there's a yard.
And to the eastbound train is facing west. The westbound train is facing east when it's at the Hinton station.
Right.
It's on the curve.
If we have any sort of stop, I'm going to cut it and change batteries at this point.
Yeah, but now Charleston is the only staff station in West Virginia.
Okay, I can see that. But I mean, they said they usually like the Gainesville. So the Gainesville station has been this. Ever since the time I was using it, it's been on this weird roller coaster of more amenities, less amenities. It's never been staffed, but like it had a quick track, and it's had both not bathrooms and open bathrooms. It's had both no vending machines and vending machines. Their standard right now is, like I said, they do this thing with the automated doors and an electromagnetic locking system that opens at a time and closes at a time. And, woe betide the person if the train is late and then you leave your bag in there. There's a whole signal thing there. And I've seen them been doing that quite a bit.
Oh, there's a yellow.
Well,
does it mean there's something coming on the other track?
So usually the last thing we had, I believe, was an interlocking. So approach just means there's actually nothing lined. If you ever see an opposing clear or an approach diverging, that's at least in here. It means something's lined up. That doesn't mean it could come now or it could come whatever. But if you've gone from a single track to a double track and then a lineup appears on your other side, that means like, okay, they were waiting for you to get moving, and now they put the guy through, so that sort of indicates that he's on his way. If they're gonna line it within 2 minutes. This is a wonderful little route. It's so different than like the Southern Main Line. There's no kudzu. It feels a little C&O-y, but not as mountainy.
Yeah.
So the next interlocking is at Webster at 248.6. Wait, there was something at Villamont. That might have been a controlled point. I don't know how accurate these are. These are from 2008. We're getting pretty close to Roanoke. I'm actually going to get that other battery.
That was Navarro's checking the battery today.
I'm going to get that, as soon as I pass on the signal, I'm going to get that backup battery, because I think this is going to fail just before we get in there. I want you to do a quick change. On the NYCTA holiday trains, I can get that battery changed out in the space of a station stop.
He says, yeah, he has to park a little bit away. Apparently, there's not much parking available when he goes to the station.
That's fine. I mean, whatever. If he wants to meet us there or whatever. So, okay, I'm cool with whatever. I assume that you want to do a lunch?
Yes.
Okay.
Lunch, and the next thing you go check out that view from the mountain, and then we can hit up some railfan spots.
Super. Yeah, like I said, I'd love at some point in the future. I'd love to get back here and spend the time to hit the museums. I heard there's a really nice hotel that's right.
Yeah, the Hotel Roanoke. Yep.
It's sort of a shame the Hotel Pennsylvania is getting demolished in New York. Although everyone says that it's super skeezy. Oh, hey, wow! Look at the beautiful.
Yeah. I stayed at it once.
Oh, you did?
It's pretty kind of bargain basement. But
okay, here we are. This I think is what.
I actually booked the stay last minute because I was coming in from Toronto on the Maple Leaf, and of course its ticketed connection is 67, leaving at 2:30 a.m. and it gets in at like 9 p.m. And I was hoping it would make it just in time to catch like the 10 p.m. regional that I could switch to, but just missed it. So I was facing having to sit at Penn Station for 4 or 5 hours.
You can do that.
I could have, but I decided to spring for a
Hotel Pennsylvania.
Hotel Pennsylvania.
One second.
I got some
get it down. So here's a fun story. I was in New York City and I was going to travel to meet my Boston friend. So I was going to do a day in New York City, then take, what train was I going to be on? It might have been 66, but I don't feel like I booked 66. I felt like I booked an evening train to go to Boston and my friend would pick me up. Well, that was the day of the Boston bombing. I can just pick them. Like, it's always like one day, Sandy, Boston bombing, whatever. So everything gets shut down in the city. And I'm actually was out somewhere and I get stuff like, oh, everything's like, trains canceled, etc. I go and stuff opens up and they're still like, oh, hey, 66 is going to run. They've reopened Boston. You can get on 66. I'm like, hey, great. So I go change my ticket. Then I hear, then the person, oh, wait, there's a problem. Like, what do you mean there's a problem? It's like, something's up with it happening. He's like, something happened to it in Virginia. I'm like, what do you mean something happened to it in Virginia? Like, what could happen to it? It's just like, it's stuck there. It's like 2 hours, like, a storm had gone through it and the trees all over the tracks. And they're like, 66 not happening. So I eventually I'm sitting in Penn Station, because actually when they said like,
the bond sack just outside.
So when I'd first done it, I knew that I was going to be on 67 like earlier in the night, and I'd gone on this. I was doing like just night, like wandering around the NYC subway at night, and then it was getting close to like 1 or 2 a.m. or something. I just go and like, listen, I cancel. Because it's clear that 67 is not going to get there anytime soon. Like it was 2 o'clock and it was not in DC yet. So I did my one and only time walking down to the Port Authority bus terminal, and I got like the last ticket on like a Peter Pan bus to Boston, and that actually got me there. So that worked. It was a little dicey because I didn't quite know how to work the Port Authority bus terminal, but it's one of those,
I've only been through there once or twice.
I can see that. I can see it has a strategy of how to move people around. There's like bays and concourses and stuff. Oh, here we go. No, come on.
I think Miles in Transit bought like a $18 Greyhound ticket from New York Port Authority to Brooklyn. They have this weird little route that does that.
bus, one of the monster ones.
Going east or west?
We were overtaking.
So you may see it going through Roanoke.
No, if I could get one of those seltzer waters, if they'd still have had that, I would get one now. I guess I could get that with that whatever they have there. Is the cafe still open?
It might be. The lieutenant's is sitting and talking to the conductor.
I don't know. It's all right.
I'm guessing we'll have the same attendant going back because they.
Possible. She came from New York.
Oh yeah, but she could change out of New York and someone else could get on going to Boston.
Yeah. No, I'm just mentioning like she's not hours of service, but that'd be a pretty long day.
Yeah.
Because she came from New York, so that would be add 3 hours to whatever this trip was out.
Yeah, I wonder how they do it.
No, they just have remote. They just do a remote thing. I always ask what crew bases they are and whatnot. And it's usually have stuff where they do, something 10, 12 hours, but at the same point they only work like 3 hours, like 3 days a week.
Oh yeah, on that ill-fated trip on the Crescent with the snowstorm, January 3rd this year. Mm-hmm. There was 2 conductors. There was only one. Everybody had called out. They were so short staffed. She was out of the Florence crew base, but she was somehow qualified.
Oh, wow.
Charlotte to Charlottesville. So she had to get up at like 2 a.m. drive to Charlotte to start work.
So here's the Alta Vista district coming in. Yeah, you can see how much more buff these bridges and things are here.
I'm just crossing over pretty soon past the NS locomotive shops.
Oh, neat. This point
It used to be the N&W where they maintained all their steam.
Interesting. Yeah, this was they had a lot of pneumatic point machines in here. They built very recently. NS loves its cantilevers. That's a heron. I got a heron landing.
Ooh.
I think I did. I've got to check, but. Should I use the side windows for anything? Is this all the old shops over there?
Yep.
No, I think they moved most of their work to Altoona, which is good because their ongoing quest to cut costs. They actually moved a lot of the maintenance jobs here. I'm sure that will bite them in the butt.
Alright folks, we are now approaching Roanoke, the Star City of Virginia. Roanoke is next. This is the last and final stop of our train today. Please check around your seat and rack for your personal belongings. All doors will open at Roanoke on the left-hand side of the train. Please watch your step, mind the gap between the train.
Research and test laboratory.
Oh, neat. I wonder if they still do anything there.
We do thank you for choosing Amtrak as your mode of transportation. Roanoke coming up just for your moment.
Locomotive bodies. Somebody's there.
Oh, neat. Some of those. I've heard bad things about those cabs. They're fabricated cabs. Super cute with it does have a nice shop complex. Definitely reminds me a lot about Altoona in terms of the vibe. Is the station like right downtown?
It is. And there's some PVs.
Oh, nice.
There's the NS office cars.
Office, nice.
Yeah.
That's one way to get good pictures of the office cars. It's nice that they aren't just abandoned.
Yeah. For my first few years at NARP, Rail Passengers, our staff was invited to NS and CSX's joint holiday party for, members of Congress and the DC crowd on their private cars parked at Union Station.
Oh, nice.
Their office cars. So I got to experience several of the CSX and NS office cars.
Now this looks familiar.
And my then congressman from Greensboro, Howard Coble, used to go to those.
Yep, there's the enthusiast bridge.
Yeah, that connects downtown, which is over here, to the Hotel Roanoke and Conference Center over there. And this is the old N&W Station, which is now the Old Winston Link Museum.
Oh, okay. That one there.
Yes. And that's the hotel. That's the Hotel Roanoke. That's Hotel Roanoke Conference.
Oh, cool. Oh, it looks beautiful.